Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. We'll have a great show for you today, but we start with an interview. Well, you know what? Before I get to the interview, let's just touch a little bit on TikTok. Today, it seems like the one thing bipartisanship could bring, whether it be MAGA, whether it be whatever, not progressives, but MAGA, standard Republican, standard Democrat, meaning establishment Democrats and Republicans, they could agree that TikTok is a problem. That is what you get when you have a bunch of old farts, and I say that kindly, that are running our government. Now, look, I may be an old fart, but I don't have an old fartish mind. I am right there with my Gen Zs and my Gen Ys and my millennials, Gen Ys, and even my little Gen Xs. Why the hell would Biden go and make this great comment? And if they sign that TikTok bill, if they pass that TikTok bill, I'll sign it. That is dumb. And I don't speak like this generalist, but it is dumb. The demographics that's hidden TikTok, the small businesses that are based on TikTok, from the influencers to others, from the people who have used the TikTok shop to make a whole business around that platform, from the historical information that it brings. You don't just go ahead and say, plug it out. And the worst part about it is that it is the reason for shutting it down is based on a lie. And why do I say it's based on a lie? Oh, they are so scared that the company that owns, what is it called, ByteWorks or something like that owns TikTok, is a Chinese company. And that Chinese company is going to go ahead and it's going to give all your information and your data. ByteDance, they're going to give all your information to the Chinese government. What the hell are they going to do with all the information of individual Americans? The only thing that they should be worried about is look, algorithms can be done in such a manner that the freely created information on TikTok is disseminated in a fashion that isn't necessarily organic or whatever. That's a possibility, right? But guess who does that? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, what is the other one? The yellow person. They all do it. This is Big Daddy trying to tell you what to do. But we'll talk about TikTok a little bit later, because what we need to do is I need to queue up an interview that I did yesterday, and let me talk a little bit about it first. It's amazing how small the world is and how there's so much commonality among us, what we do, etc. Because let me tell you what happened. There is a politician that I really liked. Not liked, I really like this politician. His name is Bill Birch. And his agent, Bill Birch, I like what he's intending to do as far as cleaning up the Texas system. Well, he didn't win his battle. He lost. I was really sad that he lost. But anyway, in speaking to his assistant, turns out that this is a woman who's had lupus. This is a woman who's had problems with the healthcare system. This is a woman who has also gotten shingles while having lupus, etc. So I mean, it is amazing how lives intersect, and I wanted to talk to her. So I interviewed her, and I think it's good for everyone who lives in red states to see the hoops that people have to go through just to get good healthcare. So before we get into TikTok and more into TikTok and the other things, I'm going to go ahead and play her interview. Let's start without further ado. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being with us. Today we have a very special guest. As you know, one of my passions is healthcare, and not only healthcare, but how it is financed and how it is handled. Well, today we have a special person, Elizabeth Townsend. Elizabeth Townsend is a political consultant among other professions. So, Elizabeth, welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing great, Egberto. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Earl, I met you via the Bill Birch campaign. You worked for
Yes.
Bill as he ran for Railroad Commission. I think that is a race I was hoping somebody as knowledgeable as he was would win the Democratic primary and take it all the way, because you represented somebody that really knew what he was talking about.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, he is very knowledgeable. He's an expert. He is a true Democrat, and he really wanted to be up there. But, there's always the next election. So if he's listening.
There you go. He better go for the next election. But anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is earlier we were talking about my wife having lupus and at the same time having gotten shingles. And it's such a coincidence that here is somebody that I recently spoke to as we worked together, and we put Bill Birch on. You got him on one of my shows, and here it is. You suffered the same fate. First of all, tell me a little bit about your lupus. How long have you known that you had lupus?
I've known since 2017.
That you've had lupus. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about 7 years or so that you've known. And
Yes. Because that's when I was finally diagnosed. It took forever to get a diagnosis. It took years.
It is sad because it is one of those diseases that don't have a clear marker. It's a list of things that tells you, well, if you have these list of things, then we're going to classify this as lupus. There's not a lupus gene or a lupus thing they know about quite yet, at least.
Well, there's a couple of tests that can be done. I forgot what the letters for
the ANA markers.
Yes, the ANA markers. So I had a couple of those, and then I responded to treatment, and so because I responded to treatment and there were the markers, they're like, okay, it has to be lupus, and plus her immune system is constantly just overactive.
Right.
And the last time I was in the hospital, I was there for 2 weeks, and I was getting blood transfusions because my red blood cells had depleted completely, and I had no potassium due to too much hydroxychloroquine in my system. And this was right before COVID happened. So.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so let's talk about how you handle it. First of all, had you had insurance at the time of your diagnosis?
No. Typical story of going in and out of the hospital, getting the treatment, getting a Band-Aid put on the situation, getting bills for $50,000 because I had to be kept in for a week for a blood transfusion.
Right.
Or I had my system was just overactive with an infection, like shingles.
Right.
Then they had to keep me. Here comes another $50,000 bill. So I had applied a couple of times to the state for Medicare and Medicaid because I've put money into the system, and I actually honestly believed when it tells you on the application, hey, if you're struggling and you make this much income, go ahead and apply. We'll help you. Right. And I'm thinking my state's going to take care of me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was denied and basically told that I had to sue the state in
Well,
order to.
before we go to the suing of the state,
Yeah,
you were in that sweet spot where you made too much to qualify for the basic Medicaid, but you didn't make enough to be, nobody would take you as an insurance person. I mean, for insurance because you had a pre-existing condition back. Well, that is after Obamacare. So Obamacare would have been expensive, but but you could have got it. But it is sad that you can be in that sweet spot that because we as a state have not accepted the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, it doesn't take care of you. So continue with that for me.
they say that there's no money, yet there was $1 trillion offered to the state of Texas.
Right.
And Greg Abbott decided to say no and play political games with people's lives. And I think that
Your
my
life. And the reason I want to specify your life is because people look at these things in an esoteric manner. Sometimes they look at it as if it doesn't really affect people. You were one human being with lupus. You needed care. The people in the state of Texas have already paid as taxes into the system. And because Greg Abbott and the GOP refused to accept that from the federal government, your life was in danger.
Correct. Correct, because he wanted to say he saved money and took people off of welfare and benefits and stuff like that, so he could run on that platform as governor. Like that's people die because of these decisions, and these are Texans. These are our fellow Texans. I mean, it's easy to get lost in being able to be taken care of and having a home and having all your basic necessities met. But there is a whole large population of people who are destitute, who are disabled because they cannot get the care they need, because they cannot reasonably justify saving their life and their health to the state of Texas.
Let's be clear here, Liz, because I want folks to understand. Were you ever somebody that didn't want to work and carry on and do what you needed to do?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean,
aren't you somebody that paid into the system for decades?
Yes, I paid into the system. I've been working since I was 15. I really believed, okay, I'm in a bad situation. I need the help. The wording on the application makes it seem like, oh, I'm going to get help. No, there's a whole lot of red tape. Every legislative session, it seems like funding is reduced even further, or there's some convoluted rule that needs to be added in to try to disqualify another group of people.
Even as we have in Texas I repeat, a huge surplus because we don't take care of our own people. We don't take our tax dollars and take care of our own people. I repeat though, Liz, you are not a burden on Texas. You are somebody who has paid your dues in Texas, whether it be employment, whether it be purchasing at your grocery store where you have paid sale taxes and many other taxes, whether it's be renting a home or owning a home where you have paid those taxes, you have been an active participant in this society. The reason I'm saying this above your statement, Liz, is because too often, and a responsible government tries to make those who are saying, I need some support for the state temporarily now, they would make one feel as if they are making an unreasonable request or they are less than, which isn't so. We are all participants in this society and we all make it run. Now, when you found out you applied for assistance to get healthcare, and folks, let's be clear, when she got $50,000 medical bills, those were high level theft, but we'll take that another time. Let's go ahead and talk about what you had to do to get some sort of healthcare.
It was very difficult because I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the ER, spending a couple of days here and there. Meanwhile, I'm doing all this paperwork And it got to the point where I had been denied twice, and my appeal had been denied. And then they told me that I can, do another appeal, but with like in a court situation
Right.
where basically I would be suing the state, where I got a lawyer and I sue the state saying, hey, I justifiably am reasonably,
Disabled.
my life is worth saving. Um, Side note, I'm very worried about the future of it, considering like women's rights and
Mhm.
and the rights of disabled in the future and the
Mhm.
wording that comes out later, but and how they're going to use that to take people off of the benefits. But it just felt so low having to tell my state, yeah, my life is worth saving. Like, what about me? What about all these other people, all these other Texans who pay taxes, who pay into the system, love their state, love their neighbor, are good citizens? Why aren't they valued by the system? And it really told me that, you know what, the state, well, not really the state, it is our leaders don't give a damn. Greg Abbott does not give a damn about once anybody except himself. Um, and I know that's hard for a lot of people to digest. It's not the state, it's the people running the state and writing the legislation to purposely hurt and undermine marginalized communities. I mean, like having to sit there and have a judge be like, well, did you pay enough into the system to justify having this $1,000 medication given to you so you could live? And you have a lawyer defending you. And of course, the lawyers take a big chunk. They take, I think my lawyer took about like 45 to almost 50% of back.
The back pay from the
This,
disability that they didn't pay you for all those years.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So there's a whole industry behind that. There's a whole industry of lawyers that are making money off of people's misery and desperation
And
in order.
you know what is so interesting? And I wish somebody would do an investigation on that to see how many of these lawyers are tied to the state, meaning the state justifiably denies so that they ultimately will then approve, and the people who help you get approved make a cut of the state's money, because that's exactly what just happened, right? Your
Exactly.
lawyer took about 50% of your back disability, which means the state, a lot of the money that would have been apportioned to you now went to a lawyer. And most of these lawyers are, in fact, connected to the state.
Correct.
And Americans need to see this. What we need, of course, is healthcare for all. So ultimately, you won your case for disability.
Yes.
And how does that work now? I imagine you got Medicaid and Medicaid or Medicare so that you could actually get
I got
healthcare.
or there was some adjustments and different changes to the laws just as Trump was coming and starting to affect the laws. I was able to get into the system before I was basically disqualified.
Right.
So what they do is they go to look at your medical history and your bills, so hospitals have a way of benefiting off this as well, because now those $1,000 bills went to the state.
Right.
And so because I was declared disabled back years before, they were able to be paid taxpayer money, which I thought was like, hey, that's not fair. They shouldn't have charged $50,000 to begin with.
But now they can bill the state for $50,000.
Exactly. So these private entity hospitals have something to benefit off of the disabled as well, off of people who are going through this process. And so it's like they have an incentive to help people get on Medicaid and Medicare.
It is sad because all around, all of this stuff is so simple, right? All we have to do is have healthcare for all, that is needs based or income based. Because a teacher with 4 kids may not be able to afford insurance, but they are so valuable to society We want to make sure that they have health care. So we should have a disposable income based uh, way in which we allocate health insurance. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to make things better for people.
Yeah, because I mean, the writing and what we're sold and what we're told is that if we're in a desperate situation, if you're a good citizen, you pay into your Medicare and your Medicaid taxes, and you pay your taxes well, the state will be there to catch you when you fall, right?
Right. It should be. It
No,
should be.
the state is there to catch you all right, but it's more like a web,
Right.
like
That you fall right through. Well, look, let
you
me
fall
just
right.
tell you. After you told me your story about having lupus, having issues with insurance, etc., I wanted to get you on so that our audience can hear real stories about what's happening to real people in the community and why, to start, just to start, we need to get the Medicaid expansion to the affordable care so that people won't have to go through what you had, because the time delay, the times that you had to deny yourself health care made you sicker.
Yes.
Anytime you are thinking about, I can't go to the doctor because what if, it makes you sicker, and that is a stress on your life. So the first,
Many people have some debilitating illness that is affecting their ability to survive, to have a job, to be able to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head, to have the most basic needs of like Maslow's hierarchy, like
Mhm.
that it just boggles my mind that, I mean, even pharmaceutical companies have a benefit off of this because there's no negotiating
Right.
price with the state. They can just charge whatever they want.
Well,
And that ends up putting a strain on the taxpayers. And then they start saying, well, it's because these people are getting benefits from the state. We need to raise taxes. No, that's not the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is this late stage corporate. Um,
greed.
yes,
That
yeah,
that's
that's
it is, corporate greed, and it's a constancy of taking more and more from all of us. They don't accept it that they're the parasites, they are the welfare queens and kings. They are the
yes,
parasites, not us. They are the parasites. They are the one that suck on everything we do, both from our labor, our work, as well as our monies. That's what they do. So anyway, let me tell you, I want to thank you first of all for talking to me about your lupus, your healthcare situation, and folks that are listening. Remember, we're not just about talking about problems. The reason I'm bringing you these issues is so that you know that you are already empowered, just like Liz was empowered to go ahead and fight for her rights. We need to fight as a collective, so that Liz doesn't have to go out there and hire a lawyer who takes 50%, but we empower and put people in power that are actually going to pass the laws appropriately so that we all have the appropriate health care. Liz, give me
yeah.
a
Well,
30-second closer.
yes, there you get to a point where you wonder how can you face it. You're facing a behemoth of a system that does not work for you. Everyone working together can affect change. Please register to vote. Get out and vote. You might think you're just one little person. That's what they want you to think. You are valued. You are worth something. So to those who are disabled or are struggling, please get out and vote. I know it seems like moving a mountain, but we can do it together.
Get out there and vote, but not only vote, but vote your interests. Vote
Yes.
your economic interests, vote your healthcare interests, vote your social interests, vote your educational interests. Liz,
Yeah.
Liz Townsend, Elizabeth Townsend, thank you so kindly for
And
having been on Politics Done Right.
thank you so much. And thank you so much for your support, especially with the campaign. We really appreciate it. And education is the key to getting folks to be active citizens.
Education is how we get active citizens. I love that phrase that she used at the end. I should have little I need to kind of put that on a little plaque or something like that, because she's so right. This morning on my show, I allowed this guy, it's a right wing caller, I allowed him a whole lot of time to specify why he supported Donald Trump and why he thought Biden did a whole terrible job, right? And I went ahead and let him talk and talk and talk. Unfortunately, it was close to the end of the show, and I couldn't really get things done. You know what? I just realized I started the show without saluting all my wonderful people, so I better get busy and say, Lee Grant, welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Bridge MCP, welcome aboard. E2247, welcome aboard. Myla Rason, Myla Reason, welcome aboard. Let's see who else have we got here. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. I don't want to repeat. May Wood, welcome aboard, my dear May Wood. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain, welcome aboard. We also have in the house. I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. Michael Rutten from Brooklyn, New York. I'm scrolling up. And of course, Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. I forgot to say that Bridge MCP is from Binghamton, New York, while Bruce is from Kingwood, Texas. And Myla Rison, I don't know where you're from, Myla. You're going to have to throw it in the chat and tell me where you're from. Lee Grant is from Montgomery County. Lee Grant says y'all's governor, Kathy Hochul, brought in the National Guard to protect the New York City subway. Yeah. In other words, she got a problem on the subway and she did what she needed to do to solve the problem. She didn't go ahead and make a whole lot of noise and started calling all these people around. You know, she didn't try to do the bad things about the people. She had a problem and she did what was necessary to solve the problem, not hyperventilating or bloviating about it. So that's a good thing. But let's be clear, crime is at a 50-year low, if not more. And you know, the thing about it is, we have a media that sensationalize things for your benefit to fool you, Mr. Grant, and others. But the crime rate is at a low. The violent crime rate is at a very, very low point. And you know what? I should put that on the screen for all you doubters. Violent. Now, if you are the victim of a crime, of course, you don't, you know, for you, the crime is 100%. All right. But the fact of the matter is, crime is touts dropping crime rates during. I want to find the charts. Let's see if I can find the charts for you. Violent crime under Biden at record low. Let's say violent crime at record low. I want to show you guys something at record low. Let's see if I can find those charts. I only bring it up because of what you said here. The quarterly data for 2023. Let's go ahead. Crime in 2023, murder plummeted, violent and property likely. There we go. Let me put that on the screen for those doubters. The quarterly data in particular suggests 2023 features one of the lowest rates of violent crime in the United States in more than, oh, I didn't get it on, in more than 50 years. Okay, read. Let's read. Let's read. The quarterly data in particular suggests 2023 features one of the lowest rates of violent crime in the United States in more than 50 years. Murder is down 12.7% in our year-to-date murder dashboard as of this writing, December 7th, with a decline in 73% of the more than 175 cities with available data. You know, there's data, there's truth, and then there's the lies that they get to put you into a form that puts you crazy. All right. Lee Grant then says, so Egberto, you find the current level of crime okay? Why are businesses leaving the inner cities? Well, businesses do a lot of things. Why did they go in? I mean, look, again, what you need to do is just follow the data. All right. It's that simple. You don't have to allow yourself to be fooled. You know, the people who you support Lee Grant actually look in your eyes and say, Lee Grant is not going to do any research, so we'll tell Lee Grant anything, and Lee Grant will believe anything. Lee, that's why you're here at Politics Done Right. Politics Done Right will give you good information. Always remember that, and I thank you kindly for being here. false perception based on the media that is trying to get Donald Trump elected. Michael Rodney says minor crime rate uptick with one highly publicized incident, but lower than historic crime rates. So Governor Hochul sends in 750 National Guards to check the busiest subway station, and the right-wing bubble is all over it. But here it is. A Democrat did the law and order thing, right? Isn't that what she did? Of course it's what she did. All right, let's see what else we got here. Vidi says when Greg Abbott was put into a wheelchair in 84, wonder how he paid for it. Insurance. And not only did he get insurance, he also got, he sued. But now, and he sued and he's still getting paid from the tree that fell on him, right? But guess what Greg Abbott decided to do? Now that he's got his piece of the pie, he wants to restrict, because he's being paid off, what others can get. I wrote a story about it a few years ago. Greg Abbott, let's see, wheelchair, disabled. Let's see if let's see if I can find that article. Because after he got his piece, he didn't want anybody else to get their piece, right? So it is amazing how these people only care about themselves. Here it is. Here's an article that I wrote several years ago. I'm going to put it on the screen because it is important for folks to understand. You know, when we talk about these things, these are things we cover all of the times. I wrote an article a few years ago. It was written in what year? In March 12, 2014. Greg Abbott pocketed $6 million from suit over his disabling incident. All right. But when it was time, and check that article out, I'm going to put it in the chat. I wrote that article several years ago. But when it was time for others to get their thing, he didn't want them. He didn't want others to get what was due them. So remember that. Greg, I've been waiting for a hypocrite on this. Okay, let's see what else I can get to you guys before I move on. Let's see there. Anyway, I think that was a particular article that I wanted you to read on Greg Abbott. All right. Okay, let's see what else we got here. VDGMCP says the problem has never been New York City subway. New York City is a large and ethnically diverse metropolis. It is the largest city in the United States with a long history of international immigration. The New York region continues to be by far the leading metropolitan gateway for legal immigrants admitted into the United States. The city is a geographical and demographic center of both the Northeast megalopolis and the New York metropolitan area, the largest metropolitan area in the United States by both population and urban area, with over 20.1 million people in its metropolitan statistical area and 23.5 million in its combined statistical area of New York City, is one of the world's most populous megacity. Thank you. Michael also says Sydney. Those same people will focus on the publicized incident and take that as anecdote to believe the incident was common. No, it made the news because it was newsworthy, something that doesn't happen often at all. The commonplace doesn't make the news. Exactly right. Something that doesn't happen often at all. The commonplace doesn't make the news. I repeated that. Sydney says people don't always understand the difference between anecdote and evidence. Sydney, you are so smart and you nailed it as well. And Sydney, where are you from? All right, what else have we got here? E2247 says, keep on pushing Biden on Palestine ceasefire, extort to Israel, use Russia frozen assets, at least the interest to aid Ukraine. I can deal with that. Mike Cisak says crime is massively up in Portland, Oregon as well, but the rest of Oregon has less crime going on. Oh, Lord. Mike, you see what Mike Cisak is doing? He's doing standard modus operandi. Okay? Again, overall crime rate down around the country because people, as Rudnan would say, we know crime has a very high socioeconomic component, and that's what we're looking at. Oh, we got quite a few people watching on Twitter today. And as like, oh yeah, well, we are all over the place. We're on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Twitch page, oh, good. It's finding out all over. All right, good. Let's go back to TikTok a short bit. And let me put this article on the screen. Blatant censorship. Critics blast U.S. House vote for TikTok. Let's see, Berto Willis, my first comment was, I think I overshared with yesterday's call. I apologize. Oh, Vrij, nobody can, anything anybody says on my program, it's not oversharing. It is what you feel. It is what you want. Now, let me tell you what I would like to do, however, Breach. You know, I take outtakes out of my programs to make shorts and that sort of stuff. I thought about this, but I was going to call you directly, but I'm going to do it right here on air. I would love to create a little 3 minute thing out of your, because I think it was so to the heart, your commentary yesterday. I would love to make a little 2 3 minute piece on that. If you give me, if you think it's okay, I think it would be informational to a whole lot of people. So you tell me yes, no. I always listen to what you guys want. All right. Blatant censorship. Critics blast U.S. House vote for TikTok ban. Don't ban TikTok, said Fight for the Future. Pass a goddamn privacy law. That's the answer. U.S. progressives on Wednesday decried what they called a xenophobic censorship bill passed by House lawmakers that would ban TikTok of its Chinese parent company doesn't sell its stake. If the Chinese company doesn't sell its stake in the popular social media app, with critics arguing that Congress should instead pass a comprehensive digital piracy law. Lawmakers passed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Control Applications Act in an overwhelmingly 352 to 65 vote. The legislation prohibits distributing, maintaining, or providing internet host service for a foreign adversary control application like TikTok, a wholly owned subsidiary of a Chinese company. Okay? 50 House Democrats and 15 Republicans voted against the bill. I voted no on TikTok for say the bill. Greg Casar from Texas, my brother here from Texas. While I have serious data privacy concerns with TikTok, this bill was rapidly rushed to a vote by the Republicans with almost no public scrutiny, and that's a recipe for unintended consequences. No, they know what the intended consequences are. They want to take away the competition from Facebook, for Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all these other guys. Okay, you see, the Chinese company happen to have developed a great interface, and that's what scares them to death. That's what scares them to death. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who also voted no, said on social media that not only are there First Amendment concerns, this is a bad policy. We should create actual standards and regulations around privacy violations across social media companies, not target platforms we don't like. Representative Barbara Lee, another no vote. Rather than target one company in a rush to a secretive process, Congress should pass comprehensive data privacy protections and do a better job of informing the public of the rest of the companies. Let me tell you what I wanted. That is something that is very important. I'm not going to read the rest of the articles. You guys can put it. It's indicated in my I have it in the commentary. But here's important things people need to understand. It's a fraud because while they are concerned that TikTok is going to be collecting all this information about you, what they don't tell you is if you want to know who controls the platform, it is either or Apple or Google. Google. I write software. There is nothing TikTok can do that it hasn't given permission to do. In other words, when TikTok is placed on your telephone, TikTok is not living on an island of itself just sending data to China. TikTok has to request from Google, hey Google, where am I? Oh Google, how do I send this information? Hey Google, where am I transmitting to? Hey Google, where is this data going? Hey Google. So the Congress people are so, and I don't use this lightly, but those people who write this stuff, and it behooves me that this even the Secret Service or our security agencies are looking at this as a problem, because it tells me if this is how they see problems, they are fairly dumb. Let me give an example. You can buy an SDK software development kit that is developed by anybody. And that kit that you develop, that you put on YouTube or you put on your phone, whether it be Apple or Google, it could have within it, once you say send packet over system, within that itself, it could be sending stuff over to China. It could be sending stuff over to Japan, anywhere. So this thing that somehow removing TikTok out of the system gives us some sort of security is the biggest bunch of hogwash. Because TikTok, in as much as it's huge, 170 million people use it in the United States. It's huge. But you know, all those millions of people also use a lot of applications, games. They use WhatsApp. They use all these other tools that uses SDK, software development kits, that the people who develop these tools have no clue what are these software development kits, which means they could actually go ahead and do the same thing, right? What I'm saying, my friends, is you are, first of all, they assume you are dumb. Our security agencies, our spy agencies, whatever you call those agencies that take care of our security, if they believe TikTok is the largest security danger we have, compared to having you able to install SDKs and all these things on your phone, then we have a real security problem, because it would say that these guys are so uninformed that they believe removing TikTok would solve a problem. Here is a more sensible thing. When Kazar says what we need to do is have a good protection on privacy. If we have a good protection on privacy, what that immediately tells you is that the basic the channel that you would want to use for that protection begins at the source, meaning Apple, meaning Google, meaning Android, meaning iOS. Those are the operating systems of these two systems. And what would you do? You would regulate Apple and regulate Google. And you tell Apple and Google, before you give the data, when people select their privacy, let's say you don't want.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Let's say that you don't want your data transmitted across to China or whatever. Guess who controls that? Not TikTok. TikTok says, "Hey Google, can you ship this to China for me?" And then Google says, "Okay, I will." I'm simplifying things. It uses either like a TCP/IP type protocol or some sort of internetworking protocol. But in effect, the socket layers that sends the data over to different machines or whatever to servers is controlled by Google. So if the government were really serious and they were concerned about your security and not only your security but your privacy, what they would say is, okay, we don't have to regulate TikTok. We don't have to regulate Facebook. We don't have to regulate Snapchat. We don't have to regulate Instagram or any of that. Those applications, right, will, or rather Google, or through Android, or Apple through iOS, will ask you, "Hey, customer of mine, what data are you willing to give up?" And of course, the more data you give up, the more interactions you can have, because the algorithm on TikTok or Instagram or whatever can make more decisions based on who you are, where you are, etc. But you may want to be completely private. So you could tell iOS from Apple, or you could tell from Google's Android, "I don't want to give up any information. I just want to read these videos or send yes or no." You don't have to do anything else. And guess what? And at that point, TikTok can do nothing. At that point, Instagram can do nothing because you have told the central entity what privacy concerns you have, what privacy you want to follow, and that's the end of discussion. Egberto Willis, how YouTube sees ad. Let's see. I'm going to look at what Bridges. Oh, really? Wow. That is new at YouTube, Bridge. I don't have a lot of control over that stuff at all. YouTube is changing their platforms, etc. Thank you for showing me. But anyway, folks, so everything that you've been hearing on TV about TikTok, it's a lie. It's a lie based on bad information. Google, if the companies want to be regulated, rather, if the government really cared about your privacy and your security, they only have to regulate two companies. Apple, is there any other company that does phones that has a carrier? They just have to modify whoever is your carrier, Apple, or I should say whichever operating system that's running on your phone. That's the only thing they have to be concerned about, because that operating system is the one who's going to give all the data as far as permission to send X, Y, and Z. Nobody else. Nobody else. And again, I'm a software developer. I developed all this kind of stuff. Some of the stuff on the space station, I wrote the TIFM module. Okay, I don't know if they're still using it, but I wrote the TIFM, so I understand what these things do. I understand what these things do. So let's be clear here, my brothers and my sisters. We are being snowed completely. Michael says, ProPublica from 2012. Yes, companies are harvesting and selling your Facebook profile, personnel data, details from your internet profile, from your professional history to how many friends you have are being collected, analyzed, and sold. Does it matter if the company is American or Chinese? The social media companies would sell your data to third parties, which would resell your data to China or whatever other country was interested. Exactly. China doesn't need TikTok. China can buy your data openly from many third parties who Facebook sells their data to. And that is what's so misleading about what's going on here with TikTok. And like I said, it's amazing how stupid our government think you are. Now, don't get me wrong. I think when it comes to TikTok, Biden doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't know what the hell is going on. And the people in our spy agencies or whatever, if they think that's a solution, they don't know what the hell's going on either. And then that would scare me. If our guys in our national security believe this crap, then I don't know. If China owns TikTok, then they don't need to buy anything. Huh? I don't understand what that means. But anyhow. Anyway, folks, I got one more video to show you, and this has to do with Ken Buck. Check this out, then we'll take it on the other side. Another Republican throws in the towel. He can't take it anymore. The unwieldy House is no longer professional, no longer congenial. I mean, it is one of those things where it seems like Hakeem Jeffries could become Speaker of the House before the end of the term. Because I tell you, the way these guys are falling like flies, he may not have to wait to win the Congress. It may just happen by attrition. Check this out from Ken Buck, Republican of Colorado, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Republican Congressman Ken Buck announced he's leaving Congress at the end of the week in a move that will further shrink his party's slim majority. His departure means the Republicans can spare just 2 votes on legislative matters before needing Democrats to govern. The Colorado lawmaker had previously announced he would retire at the end of his term.
So, Congressman Buck, talk to me about a bit what has frustrated you so much about this era of politics in this, and particularly Congress. What's made it so difficult?
You really need me to say that. You need me to explain what's so difficult about this place. I was, as you see, the number 3 in the seniority on that committee, and I asked questions last. And you need me to explain what is so complicated about that, or how we try to impeach somebody for a difference in policy. We've taken impeachment and we've made it a social media issue as opposed to a constitutional concept This place just keeps going downhill, and I don't need to spend my time here.
Wow, Gentleman Martin,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say it better than him. And he is frustrated, obviously, with his own party. And it doesn't seem like Speaker Johnson knew this was coming.
No, he was blindsided, as was Steve Scalise, the number 2 in the House GOP leadership.
Wow.
Ken Buck has not been happy for a long time. And it kind of reflects the sort of radicalization of somebody in Ken Buck who, came to some level of prominence running as a Tea Party candidate in 2010, which feels like the Ice Age for the U.S. Senate. Sort of political outsider who eventually gets to the House, has done almost 10 years in the House, and has come to the conclusion, as quite a few folks have in the House in recent time, of this place is not worth it anymore. And Buck realized that and decided not to run, but is so frustrated now, he says, take this job and shove it. I'm leaving next week. Which I think is sort of an extreme version of where a lot of people are in the House. He just says it out loud, Mika.
I find it amazing. Ken Buck came in on the Tea Party wave. The Tea Party wave. Do you remember when we thought the Tea Party was crazy? Do you remember when we thought the Tea Party was the end of the world? And now the Tea Party seems mellow compared to MAGA. The Tea Party seems like it's, can we go back to the Tea Party days? Because this MAGA thing, it's nuts. What's going to happen to the country? We'll fix it in November.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutely, yeah. Help us, please join. Anyway, folks, I really enjoyed all of you today. Forgive my rant if I went kind of overboard with TikTok, but what gets me with the way they are doing the TikTok thing. And by the way, if anybody wants to call in, we got about, I don't have any more stuff, and we have about 3 more minutes. 713, all right, 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. Hey, gracias, Bridge MCP just gave us a super chat. She says, thanks, Egberto, for doing show and dealing with family issues. It has to be so hard. It is difficult, and I'm sleepy as hell, but you know what, Bridge? Because I love doing this. I love informing people. I love being a part of the solution. It's all worth it. And having beautiful people like you and all of our PDR posse as part of our of making a change makes it all worth it. And none of this is cliche. I'm saying this from the depths of my heart. My family would be like, but why do you have to run and do that? You can take a day off or whatever. And for me, it's like, I remember one time I just, I didn't feel like doing it one day because I don't remember what happened, And I got this email from this regular listener. They never talk or get to the chat. And they sent me an email to see, they're like, I was waiting to come on and watch at this time. And, you weren't there. And I thought there may have been something wrong with you and da-da-da. And, when that email made a difference in me, in that, you know what? When you're doing this is what you're committed to do. And unless there are real extenuating circumstances, this is what you're committed to do. It's that simple. So, and by the way, I love it. I love making the change. I love informing. I love writing. I love doing all of this because I think this is what some of us need to be doing. So, Bridge, thank you so kindly for your support via super chat. And folks, Given that Bridge started the giving today, I want to remind all of you that you can join in either with a super chat by going into the super chat on the screen if you're on YouTube, or you can go to our Patreon. Let me go ahead and pull that stuff up. What's wrong with me? You know, I always forget at the end. Okay, I got to get all my donation links. All right, folks, you can support the program by becoming one of our patrons. Become one of our patrons by going to politicsandright.com/Patreon. Politicsandright.com/Patreon. You can also find all the different ways to support us by going to politicsandright.com/support. Politicsandright.com/support. Now, we have a newsletter that goes out every day, at least once a day, in the mornings to talk about what the KPFT show is going to be about at 9. Please consider becoming, it's a free newsletter, but it has a paid option. And I want to ask those of you who have the wherewithal, those of you who can do it, please. It's like saying I want to get Egberto a coffee a month. Okay, so go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter, and it's not, you get something for it. All my books, I have 5 books, and I'm working on others. All my current books and subsequent books, subscribers to my newsletter can read it. They don't even have to go out there and buy the book. They can read the book, and I guarantee you're going to like it. But this is my new book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Racism Didn't Stop My Smile, Hope, or Journey Forward. And look, it's not a book that's hard to read or one that's going to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. It's just matter of fact and tell you what the sort of stuff that I believe and why I could keep my smile on, why I could keep my hope up, because, you know, it's worth it. And I think everybody would get something out of it. So check out the book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. And again, how can you get that book? You can just go to politicsandright.com/books or subscribe to either Patreon or get our a newsletter, and you'll be able to just go ahead and get all my books. Anyway, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank all of you for being here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.